signals that
All the
we're
signals. We could be live and we don't even know it.
we don't even know. I guess I'll watch my mouth. I do have a funny story in my head based on what we were just talking about.
But
But
we'll save that.
we'll save that.
Ooh, man. Happy Thursday
Happy Thursday.
or whatever day
Or
it is you're watching this.
right? It doesn't really matter, does it?
No, you may be watching it on a different day. And with your Workstand website, you may want to include functionality from a different platform.
Yeah.
What a segue.
What do we? Oh, that was beautiful, seamless. So we call those third-party integrations.
We do call them that. And the idea is that a lot of these third-party applications, which to us they're third-party, but they're
Yeah.
just applications. Things like Mailchimp, if you want a
Hmm.
Mailchimp pop-up or a form on your website,
Yeah.
or a booking application for scheduling service or bike fittings,
Rentals.
or some chat widget, those apps will always, or not always, but often provide a little code snippet that you
Hmm.
can put onto your website, and then it will render whatever that app does on your website. So super handy. And we're going to show you where to put those little code snippets and how to put them today.
Yeah. So we've got a few different categories. We're going to start with just on page,
Right.
right?
So this means that you need to put that code on the specific page that it's going to render on or show up on.
Hmm.
And there's just that one little snippet of code. Doesn't really matter which page we choose. So edit whatever page that is that you wish to use. And then over in the corner here, in all blocks, go to the HTML block. And I got to click that first. And then I've only been doing this for a decade and I still forget to do it that way. And then drop that HTML block on the page. And then you want to place it. It depends. There's two ways this could render. One is that it's going to be a pop up. And if it is, it doesn't really matter where on the page this lives. But if it's an inline kind of thing, in other words, it maybe renders a button that says book your service, then wherever you want that button to show up is where you want to place this block so you can move it around wherever it needs to be. Once it's there, click create, give it a name. It's the booking app, and nobody's going to see that unless you check that box, which I would not. I would not check that. And then go to this HTML input and paste the little code snippet they gave you here,
Hmm.
and then save those settings and reset your or publish your change, etc. Most of those, or a lot of those, the preview won't work. You have to actually save the page and publish the change in order to get that in the spot in the internet's worlds where it needs to be. So if you don't see it in the preview, just go ahead and publish the change and then check it. So that's the first option where the code needs to live on a particular page. And then within that, is it a pop-up where it doesn't really matter where you put this, or if it needs to sit someplace specific, then move the block around to match that. And as with everything, you can get more complicated with that, but that's the basics of it. Beyond that, let us know if you need help. The other way this can be is that this code just needs to live on every page all the time across the website. And for those, there's a couple ways you can do that. As usual, there's always a couple ways. So if we go to settings and marketing
Hmm.
and into these custom tags, then the bottom of that, these advanced settings, you have three spots for code. So one is called additional header tags, and this is towards the top of the site. And then just inside the body tag, and then just inside the closing body tag. So tags always open and close. So this is at the beginning and the end. It's not always clear where you need to put that code, but if you have
Hmm.
something like a chat widget, and that chat widget needs to be available regardless of what page anybody's on the website, then this is probably where you're going to want to put that. And this is, by the way, this is what that code might look like. So this is different code, but it'll look something like this. There'll be the word script in it like that usually. And you just drop this in. So if you're not sure where to put it, it's generally going to be either the additional header tags or the second one inside, just inside the body tag. But it doesn't hurt anything to try it. So, but you will have to drop it in, come down, save the change, publish the change, and then
Hmm.
check it live. There's no way to really preview that generally. So if you do that and it doesn't do what you think it does, then take the code out of where you put it and put it in this other one and do the same procedure and check it again. And that should be fine. Some of these, and actually Booksy is one of those, I think. Some of these have 2 bits of code.
Mhm.
One bit of code needs to be placed here to be site wide. It's the enabling block of code. And then there's a second little snippet of code that you put, like we did before, on a particular page in a particular place wherever you want that button or thing to render on the page.
Mm.
And so some of them have both, and you have to put a little piece of code here and a little piece of code on the page. Make sense?
Yeah, and they usually usually in the instructions from the
Correct. Yeah.
app. Yeah.
They're usually pretty clear about that. There's 2 blocks of code, and they'll usually even say, "Place this in the additional header tags or in your header
Mhm.
tags, or place this in the body of the page." So they're usually pretty specific about that. But if they're not, you can experiment a little bit. It won't hurt anything because you can always undo it.
Mhm.
The other way you might implement site-wide code is if that provider gives you an actual JavaScript file rather than a little block of code, they may provide a file that's a whatever name .js, kind of like this little looks like this
Mm, mhm.
.js. So they might provide just a file of that rather than a little block code. And if they do that, you'll go to template publisher, and in this custom JS area, this is where you'll manage that. So as you can see, I've got some of these little JavaScript type files in place. And what you'll do is you'll choose a file and go upload the JavaScript file they sent you. So you'll choose it and then click upload, and it'll show up on this side on the uploaded JavaScript files. And then you just drag that file over to this side, which is the selected JavaScript files, and then submit the change. I'm not going to submit the change because I don't know what I just drug over there, and
Yeah.
my poor demo site's in bad enough shape. So that's how you can also do that from a site-wide standpoint. And that's pretty much it. Those are your main options. I've got a link to the Help Center page in the description of this video. So if you want some more step-by-step instructions, those are there. And one last little, I'm not going to call it a pet peeve, but a little tip is there are a
Pro
lot of
tip.
sites that I go look at, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff in here.
Yeah.
And it becomes difficult to tell what it is.
Yeah,
You
what's
end up
what, where one starts and one ends.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's two different ones here. Where does the end of one and the other? And so you'll see in two places, you see this little piece here and here where you see the little sideways, I don't know what you call that sideways character with the exclamation point and then dash dash and then a name and then dash dash and the sideways thing. That's called commenting. What is it? What's the sideways thing called?
I don't know. I just think of as in like math, like,
Yeah. Oh, you go.
less than or more than. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Less than, greater than
Yeah.
symbols and pointing where you they make sense. But anyway, this is in the code world, this is called commenting. And often people will say something like commenting out. But essentially what happens is anything in between those characters is ignored by the processes that go on. Whereas if you were to just type a word, like if I just type product there, that's going to show up somewhere that you don't want it to show up. So those little comment characters tell it to ignore that. And that
Mhm.
makes it handy because you can put notes there that remind you of what that is. And I get overly carried away. I'll even put an end part. So I'll put the front part to know what it is, and I'll put when that code ends. And that way, if there ends up being 13 or 14 of these things in there, I can always tell what those are. So
Mhm.
it really helps keep things straight because this code is always very specific. All software code is. So if you're in here doing something and you inadvertently slip a new piece of code in where you shouldn't, it's going to break things. Even if you're in here just trying to figure it out. And as you're trying to figure it out, you accidentally delete one of those, it will just be gone. So if
Mhm.
you can stay out of the places you don't need to be specific about where you are, you just lessen the chance that can happen. Because once that kind of thing happens, the chance you're going to find it is really slim.
Yeah.
So uh, think about if you do a lot of these, certainly not required, but think about using those little comments just so you can tell where things end, where they start, and how many different things are there. It just makes it easier to identify those.
Yeah. Excellent pro tip.
Yep. And this kind of thing will happen pretty frequently with different third party integration. So if you have those questions and you're just not comfortable typing or cutting and pasting code reach out to the client success team. They do this all day long. They're happy to help you find. They'll take the code. You can email it to them. They'll drop it in the right place. But it is handy to know where these things live, because it's pretty frequent that you'll want to update them or add new ones. So it's pretty handy thing to know.
Yeah.
Good. It's not always about us. Sometimes it's about other applications.
Yeah. We can't do it all sometimes.
That's
But
right.
yeah, I love that. Help Center article is a really great resource. Obviously, here it's a really great resource. There are I like that there's a list of common integrations. So actually, it's a good resource for like, I want to have a rental booking app on my site.
Yeah.
We got some
These days.
that question
Third-party
comes up
integration. So
sometimes.
if you go there, and this is that Help Center page, it'll walk you through those instructions, and then here's a whole bunch of common integrations. And I always tell people, we don't actually go vet these things, but once we see that they're working on dozens of sites in our platform, then we feel good about putting them here. And this will link you to those apps. So if you're looking for a rental app or a chat app, then these are ones we know work pretty well.
Yeah.
But no guarantees. We don't vet them or stay on top of them. We just know we've seen it work in a bunch of places.
Yeah, folks are using them.
There you go.
Cool. Well, I think we've covered all the bases. Let us know if we can help.
Right on.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
I guess we'll see you. Mark, I thought you were going to write us an original composition.
One day.
Add it to your list of important to-dos.
That's right.